Hello malt mates, hello whisky fans, welcome to the Whisky Bothy, somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and welcome to review number 1141, which is not actually a whisky review, despite the fact that the Whisky Bothy is primarily a whisky review channel. But, however, the thing is, we need to rest our palate and have a change. And it's a fact that whisky drinkers can develop a stale palate if they do not take time off, and if they do not take a break from whisky, and if they don't explore other spirits, simply because it is human nature to be increasingly conservative, comfortable and cosy in your little malt whisky sphere, and never to reach out beyond it to other flavours and other styles of spirits. And this creates palate stagnation. Palate stagnation you'll often recognise in the fairly predictable talk within whisky clubs from whisky fans who still think the big brands are particularly big brands and aspirational, and who are basically very adverse to some of the independent bottlings of whisky which break the normality of the flavour profile. And this is a challenge, by the way, for the more advanced whisky drinker who is getting beyond the primary available accessible brands and starting to explore a little bit further, is that you become across these frightening flavours. But as they say, curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. And it's when we engage and connect with these unusual flavours, additional flavours, non-orthodox flavours, that we start to actually revitalise, reinvigorate and re-stimulate our palate to enjoy whiskies all the better. So this is the second of a short review series that I'm doing here on the channel about rum. It's August 2026 and I'm reviewing a little short series of rums. This is the middle one, the one in the middle. I've already reviewed J. Gow's 8-year-old Pieces of 8 rum from Scotland. Yeah, Scottish rum is a thing. And now I'm going much more traditional, but there's a twist here, and I look forward to telling you a little bit more about it in my follow-up review number 1141, Extras. This is Santa Teresa, Venezuelan triple Solera matured rum. It's from the north of South America in a very large country that you may have heard of called Venezuela, very rich in oil reserves and a lot of other rare commodities besides that. And Santa Teresa is a very long established rum producer. The thing is, so many people take their references from the Caribbean, whether for British style molasses rum or French style agricole rum, that there's a kind of reluctance to go into the huge continent of South America and discover just some of the fabulous rum that they're producing in every country in South America, every single one. The Santa Teresa I've bought and reviewed before. I'm coming back to it because it's a genuinely interesting rum brand, very well made. They're doing things old school, and in this instance it's getting particularly interesting because this particular version has been matured in ex-whisky casks. Now, before I go any further, whisky fans seem to be very accommodating and very accepting that whisky can be matured in ex-rum casks. And in fact, due to the proactive nature of these casks, the whisky can become very rum influenced, and yet there's no flicker of hesitation in accepting it as whisky. However, there is this enormous reluctance even now to take any sort of rum brand seriously. In fact, it's relegated to, it's inferior to whisky, particularly Scotch whisky, because Scotch whisky is more complex and more superior, blah, 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 blah. This is the dogma and the BS and the absurdities that really need to be challenged. And it's a review like this where I take on that challenge head first and encourage whisky drinkers and a few rum drinkers who have got into the bad habit of just going for the mainstream, that there's fantastic rum out there and the clues are in the presentation. Here we have first clue, batch number 1. This is a first batch. As you know, if you're a whisky fan, the first batch is the ambassador batch. It's the introduction batch. It's telling you and showing you how good it is because it's a first acquaintance. Batch number 1's, whether whisky or rum, always serve the same purpose. Secondly, it's the bottling strength. The bottling strength on here, and I'll just remind myself, is 46%. 46% for a rum is serious sipping strength. If you see a rum at 40%, it may be sippable, but it is a compromised event. If you see your rum at 37.5%, it's only for mixing. It's not for sipping. End of. With Santa Teresa, you have a rum which is whisky cask matured, and they tell you it's been for 13 months, over a year, in Speyside. They're being specific now. They're not saying Islay, they're saying Speyside whisky casks. So we're really looking off the information on the label where it matters at serious interfacing between rum and whisky cask maturation. As soon as you nose the rum, you'll recognise sherry butts, Oloroso sherry butts. You will recognise that slight creme brulee grain note of Scotch whisky. The whisky cask influence on this rum is substantial and it's very well done. This is a very good nose. It's not particularly estery. It's what you would call Demerara or Muscovado. It's brown, rich brown sugar notes. Is it particular sweet? It is sweet on the nose. It's articulate on the nose. It's got some really nice array of traditional spices on the nose. Allspice, cardamom, nutmeg. Absolutely, you're getting loads of nutmeg on the nose. And then you're getting that combination of sultanas and raisins together. The sultanas coming from that triple Solera system, which is this 3-part aging process that allows them to have the benefits of the vitality of younger rum, balanced, long-term matured, interacting through the Solera system with the weight, substance and the softness of the older matured rums. In my opinion, when you discover the quality of this, you'll see that they are doing the job properly. It's a delightful rum. I've not even tasted it yet. We're still in the nose. What's the rush? So many people rush from the nose to the taste that they forget that the nose can tell us an awful lot about the whisky, which is why master blenders spend a lot of time nosing. But not with the bad whiskies. They prefer to nose the good stuff, as and when they get it. There's a soft clove, there's a ripe, almost treacle cake note in here. Active wood maturation. Tropical climate maturation, and it's combined with something else. There's something rounded it off and settled it down. And I'm not quite sure what's going on, but whatever they're doing, it's working. First taste. A hesitant arrival, and that bursts into life with zesty, softly caramelized, spice-rich, heavy wood notes. The wood, as we get through the development into the finish, gets more bitter, sharper, and a little bit more jaggy. So we're talking quite strident wood notes on the finish. However, this is where we use our experience to transform the rawness of the whisky at this bottling strength, 46%. So it'll take plenty of water, just popped in 5 millilitres. Good fizz symmetry, really dense fizz symmetry. So we're not seeing a lot of filtering going on with this rum. I'm liking, by the way, the more time I spend with it, the more I'm liking it. Of the 3 rums that I'm reviewing in this series, this is the best value and the most globally available. Just so as you know. As soon as you add the water, you start to get a slight rose water perfume note. A slight orchidy note. Which particular orchid? Well, there's one orchid I nosed in Botanical Gardens many years ago called Stanopia Paphiopedilum. No, it's not a Paphiopedilum. It was a Stanopia, and it was incredibly rich. It's one of these dangling orchids that opens up like a kind of tennis ball, and you can literally smell it from tens of yards away. It is so pungent. The flowering lasts for about 3 days. But it's one of the remarkable phenomenons of the flower world, of which there are many remarkable phenomenons. So the water's settling down this rum now. I put this up there with any whisky any day of the week. When you're experienced in engaging with quality, you recognise quality for what it is, and I'm saying it here, loud and proud. A delightful rum, a brand that I am no stranger to, and I'm happy to come back to with good reason and good motivation. I think what they've done here in presenting this rum to the outside world is a very positive, proactive step, and I commend them for it, to kind of reverse the tables, so to speak, on a whisky industry that boasts and brags and make big feature of using rum casks extensively for whisky finishes. Well, here's the opposite happening. So what's there not to like for the whisky fan? Except their own closed narrow-mindedness. Don't be one of the closed narrow-minded ones, malt mates. It's not a good look. They only end up drinking more and more and less because they've got bored of their stagnated palate. It's what happens. That's richness, the spiciness, and a certain slightly scorched toffee note. Being a rum, there's a sweetness, particularly in the nose and initially in the palate, but it soon changes because there's so much else going on, that proactive influence, particularly of the whisky casks. I've added water. Such an elegant, articulate, beautiful arrival and development from semi-sweet, and it's heading towards sweet, and then it changes its mind at the end of the arrival, and then a slight bitterness creeps in, closely followed by sourness through the development. So you're getting that sour, bitter, slightly umami from sherry cask influence. That sherry cask funk is just really lifting this rum because it's not a particularly funky rum. You really look at Jamaican rums for that. This is Venezuelan rum. It's a different creature. It's a different animal. It's delivery of understated richness coupled with proactive wood influence is exemplary. Another taste before I give you the rum mark. You don't make this sort of rum by chance. There's a wood, dry, astringent wood note really animates the development of this rum. And if it wasn't for the sweet, rich, sherried base of this Santa Teresa, it would become cloying, it would become harsh, too bitter. But the drama that's going on in the glass is beautifully balanced off. And in my opinion, as the bottle oxidizes as it goes down, it's just going to get better and better. Anyway, I'm done here. Let's give this a rum mark. 86. See that? 86 out of 100. This has exceeded my expectations. For what you're getting, at the strength, the quality of this rum, for the price, in my opinion, in the UK, this is very good value and I highly recommend it. I know that some of you whiskey fans, you've already switched off because it's not a whiskey review, so you're no longer watching. But for those of you who are still watching, it's a testament to you, the integrity of your inquiring mind. So I thank you for it. Because although the tides are changing, the time is changing, something I recognise purely down to personal experience of running a channel for 16 years is that you start to get an idea of what's coming next, and good quality sipping rums. As the global economy just gets tighter and tighter, and increasingly we have a young generation who are not interested in alcohol at all because it's safer not to be. And I'm not being disingenuous, I'm not being superficial here. This is the way the younger generation are thinking. And you find this out when you talk to them, which is not something that a lot of older adults tend to do, or tend to do enough of. But there you go. I've completed this review. It's part of my rum season. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you'll come back again for my additionals, in which I'm going to tell you where I'm at with rum and why I am where I'm at with rum. What was my personal rum journey, particularly recently, where it really matters. See you soon. Bye-bye.